With Chaotic Dawn of Param Secrets Decoded coming out in late October, I wanted to go back and look at Chaotic's original base set, Dawn of Param. And I have the best deck for each of the tribes to show you guys. A lot of the cards from Dawn of Param Secrets looks like they're going to be similar to the original Dawn of Param creatures, so hopefully this helps when the cards come back. Who knows? We'll see. Okay, first we have Dawn of Param Overworld. Obviously, you have Maxor. He's the strongest overworld creature in Dawn of Param, and you got to pair him with Heptad. Heptad has less energy, but has all four elements, and Heptad can cast music from any tribe. As you can see, I have a Mipedian music in here. Melody of Mirage, target attack deals 0 damage. I think this is the strongest music in Dawn of Param to slot in this slot anyways. And so having Heptad allowing you to play Melody of Mirage is huge. Maxor, 60 energy, 2 music counters, has fire and earth, amazing courage, amazing wisdom. You can't not run him in an overworld deck. And then Staluk. So a lot of times you might see Crossectus in this slot, but Staluk also has Earth 5 just like Crossectus, but he has Swift 1. Paired with Skeletal Steed, which gives him range and another Swift 1, so he's Swift 2 total. Range means he can jump the front line, and Swift 2 means he can go all the way to the back line. So if you imagine like one creature here, one here, and one at the back, Staluk can jump all the way back there, paired with Skeletal Steed. If you go second, they'll probably attack Staluk first, but that's fine. Staluk is your weakest fighter. Then you have Yawkus. He's there as a support. He has 50 energy and earth, so he can fight if need be, but it's mainly the 2 music counters. And I picked him over other supports because he's a better fighter if he has to fight. And I gave him Stone Mail. He gets 50 energy. This is one of the strongest gears in Dawn of Param, arguably the strongest. Even though the equipped creature cannot move once it's face up, you have an additional 50 energy. Yes, all damage dealt to equipped creature is increased by 5. An equipped creature has no abilities and cannot gain abilities. Yawkus' supports for the disciplines doesn't matter that much if he has to fight. Stone Mail is often used on Underworld creatures, which you're going to see a little bit later to stop recklessness. But here it's great to throw onto a support. The opponent jumps him, surprise, 100 energy that they have to go through. And then Vidov is your best support as Overworld. 1 music counter heals 15. Gotta run 2 of them. That's 60 heal right there. And then between Yawkus, Maxor, and Heptad, you can cast 5 of your 6 music, because there's 5 music counters here. So you could not use one of Vidov's counters and then use it instead to cast a music. Depends on the match, depends on the scenario. I gave this Vidov Diamond of Vlarik, so if he has to fight, he can have Earth, because we have some Earth attacks. This, Vidov, also same thing, Diamond of Vlarik. I didn't go over Maxor's gear, Aqua Shield. A quick creature gains 5 energy, okay, that's fine, but it's more there for, you can sacrifice and heal 15. This is the most heal you can get from a gear, or energy gain you can get from a gear in Dawn of Param. Your Ring of Narns and stuff only gain 10. Yes, it's for multiple combats, but I figure use Aqua Shield on the most important combat, and then hopefully everything else carries you from there. Same thing with Heptad, Aqua Shield. And then for the music, so Melody of Mirage I already explained, target attack deals 0 damage. Such a strong music. Song of Resurgence, heal 20. This is huge. Hymn of the Elements is there, so target creature gains the element of your choice. We have some attacks that have fire and some attacks that have earth. 1 or 2 of these have water and air, and that's just because Dawn of Param attack selection is really poor. So you have Hymn of the Elements to gain some extra damage. Maybe on Staluk, give him fire, because you have a lot of fire attacks. Or if you lose your elements for some reason, or if you need that extra damage off Inferno Gust or off Steam Rage, you give him the water, or you give your creature the air. But this is maybe the music that you can drop, because like I said, you can only cast 5 of 6 of these unless you use a Vidov counter. It might be worth a lot of time saving that Vidov counter instead of casting this music. Overworld area is here because Underworld is so strong, and because a lot of Overworld decks also have fire attacks. Heal 10 damage to target Overworld creature. Damage dealt to that creature by fire attacks is reduced by 5. So I would use this after 1 attack. You say you Maxor, maybe you're against Underworld, you're into KO. They use 1 attack, just heal, And now all of his next attacks are going to deal 5 less damage. And again, this is also good if you face a deck that looks like this, because this deck has a lot of fire attacks. Another Overworld deck may also have a lot of fire attacks. Song of Stasis is fun. Target creature cannot move. I think this music is underrated, and I haven't seen used much, even when I was playing with Dom of Param specific matchups. You can stop like the opponent's best creature, or if you're in a scenario when only one of their creatures can reach your fighters, or they have a creature who can jump your backline, any of those things, Song of Stasis on them, can't move. Super strong. Then for the attacks, so I literally added all the fire attacks and earth attacks possible for the 1 cost. So Astron has both. Ember Swarm has fire, and that's because Heptad and Maxor have fire and earth, and then Stu's kind of like your jumper. So you got to prioritize earth because he has earth 5, but you can use some of the elements to give him that fire if need be. Inferno Gust, just another fire attack. Your speed is not that good, but it's also like a lot of creatures of low speed. A lot of Underworld creatures of low speed too. You might be able to get this challenge off. Steam Rage again, fire, earth, earth, earth. Your max or courage is really high. You have 100. So you're probably winning this challenge a lot of times. So this is going to deal like 15 damage. Rockwave does 20 with Maxor. Your other creatures don't hit this wisdom, but it's base 5 damage and earth. It's actually pretty good. And then Flash Kick. This is just 5 damage, but you get to cycle your locations. So you look at the top 2 cards of your location deck, put one on the top and the other on the bottom. This is useful depending on who you're playing, and I'm going to go through the location deck and you'll see why. And then your 0 cost is just Delirium. Wisdom, deal 5 damage. Stiluk can't hit that, but these guys can. And then your locations, I added Glacier Plains. And so Flash Kick is really good for Glacier Plains because Underworld Music costs 1 additional counter to play. If you're against Underworld, you want to try and dig for that Glacier Plains. Underworld Coliseum, even though it says Underworld, is pretty good in this deck because your creatures with Elemental 5 deal additional 10 damage. Your 2 main fighters have fire. Lava Pond, same thing, you have a lot of fire attacks. Gigan Tempopolis, at the beginning of combat, each engaged creature gains a music counter. So if you do get this and you get engaged, now your creature engages, now you can cast all your music and use your Vidov healing. Also, if you don't need to do that, maybe you already used a Vidov counter to cast a music. If you engage with Maxor, he does have a 1 music counter heal 10. So you still get a heal 10 from that. And then Cure City is your best location as an Overworld deck. Overworld creatures additional 10 energy, initiatives, wisdom, you have high wisdom. That's the deck. Out of the tribes, actually we'll go over at the end. I'll give you guys a second to decide which tribe you think is the strongest, and I'll tell you what I think based on the decks and my experience playing in Dawn of Param only tournaments. For Dawn of Param Underworld, you have Kaor, who is the strongest Dawn of Param creature. He has 3 music counters, high courage, high power, high wisdom, and decent speed, and 70 energy. That's insane. Insane. And then you pair him with Lord Von Bloot, 65 energy, 2 music counters, doesn't have fire, has earth, but has high courage, high speed, and high power. And so Kaor, I gave the Skeletal Steed, and I gave Lord Von Bloot Skeletal Steed. This way, if you're against an Overworld deck and they use Song of Stasis on one of them, you can just jump their backline with the other. Or if you're going second and one of them dies, you jump your backline with the other. Skeletal Steed is so strong because there's no defenders. There are no defenders in Dawn of Param. And then you have Rothar. Rothar is the other 70 energy creature in Dawn of Param. And I gave him Stone Mail because he has Recklessness 5. And you don't really need his Intimidate Power 10. This gives him another 50 energy. Yes, he can't move, but that's okay. You got these 2 Skeletal Steed guys over here. And he's got, again, high courage and high power, and he has earth. And same thing with this guy with Stone Mail. And then you have Olmar, 1 music counter, deal 10 damage to target creature. He's got 2 music counters, 2 music counters here. And you can afford to use all these music counters because KO has 3 music counters. Actually, okay, you are missing out on 1. So when I go over the music, again, you can decide if you want to use one of the Olmars for the music or to deal damage, just like Vidov with Overworld. And I gave them both Nexus Fuse. So if he gets jumped, you can sacrifice it to deal 15 damage. Not even necessarily on who jumped you. You can use this on anyone. And then combine your music and your Olmar counters to try and snipe something. So going to the music, you have double cannon of casualty. Deal 20 damage to target creature. So strong. Discord of Disarming, destroy target battle gear. There's going to be a lot of Stone Mail, a lot of Skeletal Steeds. That's what makes this so strong. And the Melody of Malady. Target engaged creature gains 10 energy, and you deal 5 damage to another target engaged creature. So it's a 15 energy swing. Then for the attack, so you do see that there's mismatched elements. They have earth and they have fire. So I mainly went for stat attacks with some fire and earth attacks mixed in here, because the way the deck works is you're just going to deal like just a couple attacks and then you're going to kill them with burn for the rest of them. So you're prioritizing that high energy for your creatures and you don't care for the fire. You can run Mega Roar, which is huge because this is going to deal 40 damage with Kaor because all of his stats are above 30 damage with Kaor because 3 of his stats are above 70. Pretty strong. Same thing with Overworld Blue, you're going to be dealing 30. Rothar's 20, not as strong, but it's really there to be played off KO or Lord Von Blute. Power Pulse, you have such high power, 90, 90, 115, jeez. That's why that's there. Ash Torrent, Fire and Earth, depending on who you're fighting with, and again, power. Rostoxic, you do have high courage, 95, 75, 75, it's not bad. And the Earth. Earth, Fire, just a combination of Earth or Fire attacks. Again, fire attack and that stat power everyone's making. And then you have some zero cost. So Ectospasm, Flash Warp, and Spirit Gust are just stat check courage and stat check power and challenge power. And for your locations, Kordak Falls, this shows Underworld, and you deal 5 damage to all engaged creatures. This benefits you because you're trying to burn them as fast as possible. Underworld City, when attacks played by Underworld creatures have challenge power 15, deal 5. Your power is insane. You're always hitting this, unless you're also against Underworld. It boosts all your attacks by 5. Stone Pillar. First music cast by any engaged Underworld creature costs 1 less. So this is kind of like the Gigantempopolis. Oh my, I can never say that location. Gigantempopolis for Overworld, where you gain a music counter. This is your music costs 1 less. It'll let you cast all 6 without using an Omar counter. And then Underworld Colosseum, you saw that in the Overworld deck. Same thing here for Kaor, who has fire. You can maybe cut this though, because 3 of your guys have Earth. Huh. I think I had a Bareth deck before. I don't think you should be running this actually. Hold up. Let's use let's change this on the fly. How many fire attacks do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would not run Lava Pond for that here. Let's show you how this works. Set Dawn of Param, type location, and let's just see. So we have this, we have this. We have Gothos Tower. Lord Von Blue gains visibility, strike 15 is so strong. So that's just 15 damage boost. So if this comes up at the right time with Lord Von Blue, that's huge. Force of Life, maybe? Because engaged creature with the highest power gains 5 energy. Kaor has high wisdom, but Rothar and Lord Von Blute's wisdom is kind of meh. You could run Wooden Pillar. If you're expecting to play against a lot of Overworld decks, you can run Wooden Pillar, but I don't know. I don't love it. Maybe we're going to run that. Let's see. Is there anything else here? Fear Valley, Crystal Cave, Castle Bodrin, gain a music back. Dranicus Threshold. I know it says banned here, but this is just, we're not thinking about Dawn of Param with a ban list. We're just thinking of Dawn of Param. But I don't love Dranicus Threshold because you want to be able to play your abilities. No. Maybe like Kenai Po to stop Refrain of Denial, but maybe Wooden Pillar. Was there anything else? Crystal Cave I was actually looking at because Lord Von Blute has a lot of speed and Kaor's speed is actually pretty decent. Gauge creature has lower speed. The imposing gauge creature deals 0 damage on its first attack each combat. And the Mipedians in Dawn of Param actually have low speed. I think you should run Crystal Cave. I think Crystal Cave is really good here. Because of Lord Von Blute's speed, and Kaor's speed is 60. Yeah. I'm going to save this. Wow. I really think Crystal Cave is the way to go. Okay, a little bit of deck editing on the fly, but that is the Underworld deck. Now we have Donipara Mipedians. And as I was saying, if you look at the speed, 55, 30, 55, doesn't even match KO's speed. That's why Crystal Cave is good. So for this deck is all about high strike damage and then sacrificing Tian or Subject to one shot or two shot the opponent. And this is really good because it gets through healing. If you do the attack and sacrifice so that you do like enough damage that equals their energy, you can't heal past your energy, right? They can't stop you. So that's why this deck is actually probably better into Overworld than it is into Underworld. But okay, let's go over the creatures. Braith, invisibility strike 15. So your first attack does another 15 damage. Decent energy, 55 is pretty good for Dawn and Param is really good. One music counter. Stats aren't great though. 65 wisdom, a decent wisdom. Prince Mudinu, again, pretty good wisdom, 70. 45 energy is not very good, but strike 20 is amazing. And one music counter. And here's another Braith. So for the Braith, I gave Staff of Wisdom. And that's because I'm running a Wisdom attack deck. Because if you notice, these guys don't have elements. So I'm running a Wisdom attack deck. So he's going to have 90 Wisdom. He's going to have 90 Wisdom. I wanted at least 70 Wisdom, so Prince Budino has enough. And so I gave him Nexus Fuse, which is another 15 damage to try and get to that one shot. Combined with the high damage from the attack, this, and like a Tian or Subject. So Subject, one music counter, sacrifice, deal 25 damage to target creature. Tian's the exact same, except he has an extra music counter. That's the only difference between the two. And that means that you have one music counter to spend off each Tian and one on each of the front lines. So again, you have 5 music counters to work with, really. This time, you don't really have an option to cast the 6 unless you don't want to sacrifice Subject. But it's probably like 95% of the time better to use Subject's music counter to sacrifice him than to use it to cast a music. Same thing for Tian, each of the Tian's second music counter. And that's because the first 4 music are really good, but then it kind of falls off a little bit. Quickly, let me look at the gear here. So Tian has Ring of Narin, and that's so if he's in a fight, he can fight a little bit. It boosts his wisdom by 10. He only has 60, but it boosts it a bit, and he gains 10 energy. Same thing with this Tian, and this Subject has Nexus Fuse, so if he does go into combat, you can kind of try and use Nexus Fuse combined with Subject to try and snipe somebody. So for the music, Melody Mirage, again, I keep saying this is one of the strongest music it is. Not even in just Dawn of Param, Chaotic in general. So you're running these at 2. Fanfare of the Vanishing helps your first attack do even more damage. It's another invisibility strike 15. But make sure you cast this before your first attack. If you cast it on your second attack, it still only boosts your first one. So it's useless there. So 2 of those. Song of Transportation. So this is where it kind of falls off a bit. Like these 2 music are not as useful. You get to reveal a new active location, but you don't get to pick. It's just whatever's the next location in your location deck. It's fine if there's a location you really don't like, but it's not great. Trills of Diminution, so target engaged creature loses all abilities. This is okay. It's good if you play another strike deck, actually. Because the way that Mipedian strike, or the way invisibility works is, if Mudinu is fighting another guy who has invisibility, the invisibility cancels out. Even if Mudinu is a strike 20 and theirs is like strike 5. Invisibility cancels out invisibility. So using Trills of Diminution on the opponent makes it so they lose their invisibility since it's an ability, and then Mudinu has his. It's not great like into much else. It's okay into Maxor, where he can't use his abilities to heal anymore. You could use it on Heptad, so then he can't cast any more tribal music. It stops like Earth 5, it stops any sort of elemental boost. But this is kind of like maybe even the 6th one that's your least likely to cast. Maybe in rare cases you use it instead of Song of Transportation. And then for your attacks, like I said, we have some wisdom attacks. So Sleep Sting is a challenge, deal 10. Maxor and KO tend to have a lot of wisdom, so it might be hard to get this against them. Actually, Braith has enough wisdom to make this challenge against KO, but for everyone else, it should be good. Delirium, again, stat check wisdom 50. Everyone has that. Another wisdom challenge. Flash Kick is just a location cycler. It's a good attack. Squeeze Play is another. This is an attack cycler. Because we don't have elements in this deck, we're limited on what attacks we can pick. That's why Squeeze Play is here. Challenge Wisdom. Rock Wave, so the Earth doesn't matter. This is just for the stat check. Mudinu actually can't make this, but the other Braiths can. Vine Snare is just these are just 5 damage attacks, really, because you don't make any of these elements. That's the problem with Dawn of Param, is that there's not many attack options. So you're kind of forced to run these 5 damage attacks. Luckily, you have your invisibility to make those 5 damage attacks either 20 or 25 damage. And for your locations, you have Mipedian Oasis. Mipedian creatures deal an additional 10 damage with their first attack. Extra bonus for there. Glacier Plains is there whenever you face Underworld. Use Flash Kick to try and get to it. Wooden Pillar, same thing, but for Overworld. I have the Maelstroms here because you can never really cast that 6 Music. So you get to discard it, and it'll force the other player to discard one of their Music as well. And then Fear Valley is just because you have high Wisdom. Your Courage is like okay. Sometimes you have higher Courage to make them lose 10 energy and it'll help. But hopefully for you, it won't really matter because you're going for that 1-shot, 2-shot. Now for Dawn of Param Danians. Lore is easily the best Dawn of Param Danian. It's Almar, except the 3rd Music counter. Deal 10 damage to target creature, and it heals itself. So if he's ever in combat, he heals himself. Won't really matter because he only has 25 energy. But it's just a better Almar. So you have Lore, and I have him with Talisman of the Mantiblore, the best gear in Dawn of Param. Stonemail is one of the best. This is the best. Equipped creature has an additional 15 speed. That's irrelevant. Equipped Danian creature, sacrifice equipped creature, return a Mantiblore creature card in your general discard pile to play to any unoccupied space on the battle board. So you have Ibian here as a Mantiblore. If Ibian dies and Lore goes into combat, you sacrifice Lore. Ibian can be resurrected in the opponent's backline to then attack their supports. So broken of a battle gear. So you have Odu Bathax and Ibian as your front line. So Ibian has Earth and 50 energy with some Wisdom. You're not really activating Hive, but you do have 1 Music to activate it if you do need that Wisdom. Odu Bathax, low energy, but his additional 5 energy for each Mantiblore you control and each infected creature in play. You have 2 Mantiblores with Ibian and 2 with Hota. So he has 55 energy as long as they're all alive. That's pretty good. And he's got the Earth. Hota is literally here just to be a Mantiblore with Music. So you have 2 off each Hota, and you have 1 off Odu Bathax, so that's 5. So this is another case where you can either use all of Lore's Music for his ability, or you can use 1 to cast that 6 Music, because you can only cast 5 otherwise. And the gear is Diamond of Laric on one of them, so in case he needs to fight. And then this Hota is Talisman, again, so you can sacrifice him to bring back Ibian. And the Ibians have Aqua Shield, and Odu Bathax has Staff of Wisdom to give him that Wisdom, because you're using some Wisdom attacks here. Rock Wave and Sleep Sting. Then you have Quick Exit, Delirium, and Flashman. And then you have Earth attacks with Pebble Storm, Rust Toxic, Vine Snare, Ash Torrent, and Thunder Shout. And for your locations, Gloomok Swamp to boost those Earth attacks. Mount Pillar is good at activates Hive and its Initiative Wisdom. So that'll boost Ibian's Wisdom because Hive is active. This Glacier Plains and Wooden Pillar again, just because Underworld and Overworld are so popular, it's good to have these in your deck. And I have the Maelstrom. So if you don't want to cast that 6 music, the opponent can't either. I'm running double Refrain of Denial here, and that's because Overworld and Underworld are so popular. This is so strong against both of them. Song of Symmetry is really good. It's a 20 energy swing. Target engaged creature gains 10, and another one loses 10 energy. In Song of Surprisal, he's noticed no Skeletal Steeds in this deck. Song of Surprisal is your Skeletal Steed in a Music, range and Swift 1. Not enough to go all the way to the back line, but you can get there middle row. And Course of the Hive is just there to activate Hive. It really just boosts Wisdom. It's not always that necessary, but it does get you into that Rock Wave territory, which Odu Bathax does hit with Staff of Wisdom. So, that's the 4 decks. I'm going to give you a second to try and predict the order of strength, 1 to 4, of these Dawn of Param decks. Okay, so I haven't actually played with a couple of these, but I've played with the tribes and I've played a lot of Dawn of Param. Based on my experience, Mipedians and Danians are both very close for last place, for that 4th slot. I think Danians are 4th, unfortunately, even though lore is really strong. You just don't have that much going for you. These Music are good, but it's not enough to beat Underworld and Overworld, and then you have 2 dead Music into Mipedians. Danians is last place. Then you have Mipedians. The 1-shot potential is good. It's really good into Overworld. It helps Mipedians kind of bridge that gap. You can beat Overworld with Mipedians. Against Underworld, you struggle because Underworld's there just to deal damage back to you, and your fighters have lower energy. So even though you might one-shot one or two of the Underworld creatures, they're going to win out in the long run. And then in second is Overworld. Overworld is strong. They have a lot of healing, but their fighters are just weaker. Maxor is comparable, but Heptad and Staluk or any other fighter you use for Overworld is not comparable to the Rothars, the Lord Von Blutes, and the Kaors, and even if you run Bareth Beyond, it's just not comparable. They have so much energy. That makes Underworld number one, especially combined with the Cannon of Casualties and the Melody of Maladies, the Discord of Disarmings to destroy any Stone Mail. Underworld's so strong with all that burn and all the power attacks. So if you do play Dawn of Param and you want to build the best possible deck, build the Underworld deck. But Overworld is still a good option. Mipedians you can make work, and Danian struggle. Luckily, the second set, original chaotic set, was Zenith of the Hive, boost Danians, and the third was Silent Sands, which boosted Mipedians, which kind of leveled the playing field across the four tribes. So, no idea what's going to happen with Dawn of Param, Secrets Decoded. I hope the first set isn't as favored towards Underworld and then Overworld and Mipedians and Danians. Hopefully it's more level across the four tribes. But maybe they'll follow a similar release where they have the second tribe boost, or the second set boost Danians and the third boost Mipedians. No idea. But I know the creatures are similar and the cards are going to be similar. So hopefully this gives you guys a little insight into what might be coming. Anyways, that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Peace.